Many of you might have heard about the idea of teaching pronunciation for English as lingua franca use. You might have heard about Jennifer Jenkins' Lingua Franca Core, and some of you are perhaps confused as to what this Lingua Franca Core is or what it means for you as an English teacher. How would you apply it in practice? That's why in this video I want to answer some of those doubts and explain what Lingua Franca Core is, and most importantly, how you as an English teacher, or if you're a materials writer, how you can apply it in your day-to-day practice. If you're new here, my name is Marek Kiczkowiak and I run TEFL Equity Advocates and Academy, where I help English teachers teach English for global communication and tackle native speakerism. Just a quick reminder, if you want to follow this channel so you don't miss any future videos, and you can also check out my online courses on teflequityadvocates.com. First of all, we can't really talk about Lingua Franca Core, or LFC for short, without mentioning the seminal work by Jennifer Jenkins in the late 90s and early 2000s. She was the first one to ask herself a question: how come my students' pronunciation is intelligible to one another, even if it doesn't follow anything like the native speaker pronunciation model that I'm trying to teach them in class? And this is a really important change of mindset. Up to then, good pronunciation equaled native-like pronunciation. Good pronunciation equaled standard British or general American pronunciation. On the other hand, bad pronunciation equaled non-native pronunciation. Bad pronunciation equaled having a foreign accent. But obviously there's no real objective justification for this. It's clearly ideological. It's based on native speakerist beliefs. So instead, what Jennifer Jenkins wanted to know is to objectively measure which pronunciation features are important for intelligibility in international contexts where non-native speakers interact with one another. So how did she go about this? Well, she recorded conversations that her students were having. She identified instances of miscommunication, then identified out of these instances which were to do with pronunciation, and then which pronunciation features caused these misunderstandings. And this led her to propose what she called Lingua Franca Core, or LFC for short. LFC is basically a list of pronunciation features that are really important for intelligibility. They are really important for having a clear pronunciation in international contexts. What are these features? Well, first of all, we've got consonants, except the TH sound, the interdental fricative. We also have consonant clusters, which are basically groups of two or more consonants. We've got the vowel as in bird, for example, vowel length, and finally nucleus stress. If you're interested in finding out more about it, then I'd have two recommendations. Recommendation number one is to check out Robin Walker's book, How to Teach Pronunciation for English as a Lingua Franca Use. Really practical and well worth your time. And the second recommendation would be to check out other videos that I've done on pronunciation for English as a lingua franca use, or my courses on teflequityadvocates.com, and the link is for you right below this video. Since that early pioneering research by Jennifer Jenkins, numerous other studies have been conducted. For example, David Detting and his colleagues have investigated this issue in Southeast Asia, for example. And there is a full interview with David Detting for those of you interested on my TEFL Equity Academy. And these studies by David Detting and other researchers have largely confirmed what Jennifer Jenkins concluded in her work about Lingua Franca Core features. One important area about which researchers still disagree is word stress. So, for example, in a very large study that David Detting did, there were over 170 instances of misunderstanding, but there were literally 4 or 5 where the misunderstanding was due to word stress. So word stress might be important for intelligibility, but it is very low down the order of importance if you want to see it like that, because out of over 170, perhaps only 4 or 5 were to do with word stress, and there were also other pronunciation issues with those words apart from word stress that made them difficult to understand. However, there are other studies on a smaller scale which seem to suggest that word stress might indeed be important. So there's still some debate about word stress. But we're pretty certain about the main lingua franca core features. So just to remind you, there are consonants except the TH sound, consonant clusters, the vowel as in bird, for example, vowel length, not quality, but vowel length, and finally nuclear stress. And we're also pretty sure which pronunciation features are less important. So for example, things like connected speech, assimilation, vowel reduction to the schwa vowel, the quality of vowels. These are all things that are much less important in international contexts. So you might be thinking to yourself, well, what does it mean in practice? How do I use this to teach pronunciation? To me, first of all, it means that we really need to rethink which pronunciation features we prioritize in the English classroom. If you look at course books, even on elementary level, course books prioritize, for example, features of connected speech, even though some research suggests that connected speech actually makes you less, not more intelligible, less intelligible. And very, very little work is done on lingua franca core features of pronunciation. In fact, in a recent study that I've done on 5 major course books, globally published course books, I found that less than 30% of all the pronunciation slots in the course books covered features from lingua franca core. But surely, if we want to help our students improve their pronunciation, if we want to help our students be easier to understand, to be more intelligible, to have a clearer pronunciation, we want to focus on features of pronunciation that are important for intelligibility, right? That's why I think lingua franca core gives us an excellent guide as to which features of pronunciation are important for intelligibility. And I think as a practicing English teacher, these features should be the focus of our pronunciation teaching. But I'd also like to hear what you think. So let me know in comments below this video. If you enjoyed it, give it a follow so you don't miss future videos. And if you want a more in-depth look into teaching English for global communication, if you want to tackle native speakerism, promote equality in English language teaching, then also check out my online courses on TEFLequityadvocates.com. Thanks a lot for listening, everybody.